Hi, I'm Pam Parton, and this is my capstone video over my capstone project, Collaborative STEM Garden. A little bit of information about me. This is my 11th year teaching at Worth County Middle School. I am currently working on my master's in instructional technology from Kennesaw State University. In the time that I've been teaching, I've taught 8th grade math, 7th grade gifted science, 6th grade gifted science, 6th grade accelerated and regular math, and 6th grade gifted and regular social studies. I currently serve as the gifted department chairperson and the STEM chairperson at Worth County Middle School, and I do also have a background in pharmacy automation from Phoebe Putney Memorial Hospital. My capstone project is called the Collaborative STEM Garden Project, and through this project, it's going to incorporate teacher and student use of technology to incorporate gardens into your regular classroom curriculum. Our problem that we ran into was that at our school, we do have a lot of students who are mentored by teachers. And so we noticed that their backpacks were full of processed snacks. And when we started talking to them about this problem, some of them said that some of the things that they would have go on would be that they wouldn't have fresh fruits and vegetables and snacks of that nature in their home, and that a lot of the stores that were pretty close to their home didn't have those kinds of snacks. So even though we live in a largely agricultural community, they really didn't have access to them. And a lot of our teachers have been unsure as to how to bring the gardens into the classroom curriculum. So in order for us to do this, we decided to bring into play classroom gardens that could be brought into both science, math, English language arts, and social studies. And a lot of that is through some of our STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, agricultural programs. These tend to grab students' attention because food, of course, is always going to be something that's going to grab their attention, and it's going to encourage problem-solving skills because it may be something that they're interested in a little bit more. So even though the particular topic may not necessarily be in your curriculum, it's going to incorporate a lot of those higher order thinking skills, and it's also going to bring in collaboration. It's going to use critical thinking, and they're going to have to come up with some problem solving in the process. This is all especially important because ag-based education a lot of times really lends itself to STEM, and so STEM tends to lend itself to bringing in all of those higher order skills that we really want the students to have. And so in a school like Worth County Middle School, where you have 41% of your students who are minority students, and then about half of those are male on top of it, you really need to try to bring those kids in, because a lot of times that bringing those kids in and encouraging that collaboration is going to be your weakest area. A lot of times it's going to tend to be your African American males. So this project, there's really a need to see it through and to have teachers incorporate this into the classroom. Now, our plan for this included doing some needs assessments, because we needed to know what kinds of technology uses could we do with the hands-on activities. Because the thing that's important to remember with this is that the hands-on activities are important, but how can the students actually use these to get real job skills? Because let's face it, the whole point of STEM is to develop those skills that students are going to need in the workplace. And since they are 21st century learners, they need those technological skills. So they need to be able to go from completing the hands-on activity to actually using it somehow in some form of technology. Because when they start actually working, they're going to have those skills. So what we ended up doing on this project is doing some needs assessments, planning some professional learning sessions for teachers so that we actually trained them on some different technology uses, and some collaborative lesson planning sessions so that teachers who are in the pilot program are able to go further into this and they're able to plan this better. Now, our school is a nearly one-to-one school on Chromebooks, but the important thing about this is that technology needs to not only be used for just your basic rote things like word processing and that sort of thing, which unfortunately a lot of times is what it's used for. It needs to be used for critical thinking because technology alone doesn't necessarily equal those higher order thinking skills. So some of the things that we're going to be doing through this are keeping track of data on crops, communicating with experts, researching solutions, and then presenting data in various ways. And all of these are going to incorporate our students as well as our teachers to use collaboration and higher order thinking. So through this process, we conducted professional development for our teachers so that they actually would be able to bring some of these things into their classrooms. Now, evaluation plan, if I were to put this in place, would include pre, mid, and post surveys for our learning objectives for the project. So some of the surveys would actually measure the participants' understanding of collaborative tools, and the participants in this case would be our teachers that were in our pilot program. Participants' use of tools in instruction, the frequency of the use of tools in instruction, participants' collaboration among peers for instructional design, student use of collaborative tools, and advantages and disadvantages of training to instruction and student learning objectives. For the description and results, the first thing that we really needed to take care of was we needed to do a needs assessment and see what our teachers really needed and where they fell in the spectrum of how they were already incorporating technology into their classrooms. And what we found when I did this was that they know how to use a lot of the Google apps. They know how to use Google Docs and Sheets and Slides and Forms in Classroom. But in a lot of ways, they didn't know more of the more advanced functions of each one of those, and they knew how to use them in terms of they could do word processing, or they could do a basic spreadsheet, or they could create a quiz in Forms, or they could make a basic assignment in Google Classroom and put just a link or something in there. But they really didn't get much into for example, having students collaborate on docs, or putting formulas into sheets and having students create graphs from those. Or in Google Slides, they didn't really get into the students actually doing the presentation. In Google Forms, they weren't exporting the information into spreadsheets so that the students would be able to use that. And in Classroom, they weren't using functions like topics and materials and assignments, and so there were different things in conjunction with each one of those that it was revealed that we really needed to go further into those. They also were very interested in learning about some different types of online presentation software, because a lot of our students are pretty familiar with Google because we are a Google Apps for Education school district. So we really push all our students to have a Google Drive. And so all of these things were really, really pushed, and so we use those already. But online presentation software, sometimes those things can just kind of take yours to another level. So that was one of the things that our teachers really wanted, was they wanted to know what are some of the ways that we can use Prezi or Poplet or storyboard that, and just some different ways that students could, that they could teach students how to use these and incorporate these in the classroom to actually be able to do things. Skype and virtual field trips were also some that they were really interested in because we haven't really used those that often. And then video editing and podcasting, because a lot of times our students were very able to collect all of their data. They were able to use all the Google apps. They were able to come up with some really interesting ways to do all of the other things that were mentioned. But their products, we really, really wanted to polish all of the products that they're coming up with, because that honestly was going to be a skill that they were going to need going forward into the future. So we really wanted to focus on that. Once we actually did all the trainings on those, then the pilot team actually met for collaboration. So they got together and they worked through some different lessons and some different ways that they could incorporate all of these different tools into their classroom and into the hands-on STEM garden that we were working through. Some of the reflection on my capstone project was that most of the capstone did reveal that there was success among the learning objectives for students. The teachers were really excited to be able to use those, and then they were able to use ones that they already knew a little bit about, but they had a new purpose with those. So that was a really important thing, was that they realized that you don't necessarily just have to use these apps for just basic things in the classroom. You really can use them as more of an application. Collaboration increased among teachers. Our Worth County Middle School meets anyway for data teams, and we meet among grade levels and do a lot of planning together. But this really helped to create a cross-curricular collaboration among a lot of different teachers, even among different grade levels. So that's going to end up helping our students, because if they're seeing and having some of those same things reinforced across all the different content areas and then across different grade levels as well, they're going to be, it's going to sink in better, and so they're going to understand it better. Hands-on collaboration also increased among our students. So that's always an important tool, because collaboration and them working together and them coming up with ideas is always, those are always things that are going to be important. Copyright acknowledgments. The principal, technology director, and school improvement specialist really gave lots of information. They gave permissions for us to be able to do this project. So they were a great help in this instance. We had a pilot team of teachers, and those were Stacey Weaver, Sandy Bozeman, Kelly Diaz, and Jody Mitchell. They are a big part of our STEM team at Worth County Middle School, and so they met with me, and they we went through and we decided what we needed to do based on their needs, and then they were very open to meeting to collaborate, and were available to even go to different schools and get some ideas from different schools. We did site visits, so they were always there and always willing to do whatever was needed to go forward on this project. There were some other resources that we did have to have permission from the principal: classroom sets of Chromebooks with online access, the teacher participants, the data from our gardens, classroom, we met in my classroom with my Promethean board, access to Google Apps for Education, Google Forms and other web tools, and then the handouts and lessons that were created. Thank you for taking time to listen about my collaborative STEM Garden Capstone project.